Hello there, welcome back to the Disc Connected. So, Imprint Films in Australia was gracious enough to send me these three beautiful releases so that I could take a look at them for you. And after a wild month of giving lots and lots of time and attention to them, I think that these releases have not been getting enough attention. So, let's take a look back at these three releases from Imprint. So the first title that I received from Imprint for review is Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead from 1995. So this stars Andy Garcia, Christopher Walken, Christopher Lloyd, Treat Williams, and a whole bunch of others that you are really not expecting to show up until they do, and then you realize it's a very 1990s film. The movie itself centers around Christopher Walken, who is a powerful, like, mob crime boss type person who comes to Andy Garcia to take care of a deal. And unfortunately, during that deal, as usual during these films, something goes wrong and somebody dies. And because of that, there is a long chain of events that follow. Now, this film is set in a way that is very unique to the local area, being in Denver. There are certain quirks that people do. There are certain mannerisms that seem to be originating from the Denver area that were unique to the film. Not any that I'd seen anywhere else, and it was a nice touch. It was something that I felt like it gave a little more personality than I expected. But overall, the movie was good. It is very much one of those like Tarantino crime heist ripoff films that were pretty strong in the middle of the 1990s. And somehow I missed this one. I love a lot of the other ones, but this one is one that just somehow went under my radar. Thankfully, Andy Garcia really does his best to try to rescue the film. He puts in a really strong performance as the lead here, which we don't get from him a lot. I feel like he fit in here rather well. Treat Williams was also a big surprise in this film, one that I did not expect from him. He is absolutely great and unhinged in all of his scenes. And the release from Imprint, it looks good. It's a nice 1080p HD release. Nothing that is incredible, but nothing that looks bad. It was a nice 1990s film, looks really good. The best part of this package, though, is the extras. We get a brand new interview with the director, brand new interview with the screenwriter, and a brand new interview with Andy Garcia. Now, in 2022, that was surprising to me. I really did not expect him to be willing to come out and answer for this film, considering it's 27 years old, and he has done quite a lot since then. And he showed up well. I liked hearing from him. He had some nice takes on the film, but really the screenwriter and the director seem to have a lot more personal aspects associated with the film, considering they were the masterminds behind it, and it was a nice touch to see them have an updated take on this movie. Overall, I certainly recommend the movie, and if you like 90s crime films, I think that you would really like this one. This next release from Imprint is Ken Russell's Horror. Now, this one is one that many people have not had a chance to see, especially like this. So this Ken Russell film is from 1991 and stars Teresa Russell and Ginger Lynn Allen, and is it's a little provocative to say the least. So Horror is the story about a prostitute in LA and is told through a lot of flashbacks throughout her life and the things that she has faced. Now, this film overall is not Ken Russell's best, certainly, but I'm very glad that I finally got to see it. On top of that, this is a release that I think everybody should buy simply for the extras. So the first thing, on this disc, we get a commentary with Alexandra Heller-Nicholas, who is always great, and Josh Nelson, and they deliver a very well thought out commentary, and I'm so glad it's on the disc. Alexandra seems to be getting her voice out there a lot more than she used to, and I really hope that she continues down that path. The rest of the extras on this disc are incredible. We get brand new 2022 interviews with both Teresa Russell and Ginger Lynn Allen, which is just fantastic. Those interviews going so deep as to sharing how, one of them used to be an adult film actress, and as they go to read for this film, Horror, they see somebody that used to direct adult films sitting around the table as well, and how that was a little awkward moment. But it's those type of stories that I love the context behind these films like this. And these sort of interviews really go a long way with sharing what those industries are like behind the scenes, what those, relationships can be founded upon, what the networking aspect of Hollywood can actually mean for people. And this was a pretty incredible film for both of these actresses. I mean, especially Teresa Russell. She gives an amazing performance in this film and goes all in on this completely. And it really is a film that made a huge dent in her filmography. So I'm glad that we got a retrospective from her. We did get two other bonus extras on this. One is a visual essay from Kat Ellinger, which thankfully from Imprint includes some visuals from the film in the background as she is speaking on this. Some other boutiques, they seem to have a tendency to have visual essays where it's just a static picture, and it's so much more interesting when you keep it going with scenes from the film in the background, even just a moving picture of stills, even if it's basically an image gallery with speaking above it. So the big thing that elevates this visual essay is the impact of what Kat Ellinger is saying. So she is giving this visual essay on legitimate and illegitimate women in the film horror. Now, usually you would think a visual essay would be, a fairly short summary or contextual written word that she is reading out loud about this, but this is a full-on deep dive analysis of the roles taken on in this film, the way that we portray women in film, and it is not short. It is like almost a half hour long. It is a remarkable addition to this release. And the final extra on this disc might be the most interesting to many people, and that is Bruce LeBruce, who is an adult film auteur himself, sharing his thoughts on Ken Russell's horror. It's not quite as long as some of the others on here, but just to see him step up to the plate and speak on it and how it impacts him and society and everything that has happened surrounding this film, it was a wonderful addition, especially to get somebody from the industry like Bruce LeBruce, who has this wide range impact that you would not expect to be willing to go on for something like this and share his opinion. So highly recommend this release as well. And that's going to be a common theme for this month because I picked these three releases to be my first ones from Imprint that I was going to review. They are incredible, and I really hope that people are taking a look at them. I know that many people put out the reviews of these films about a month ago, but I wanted to make sure that I let the impact of these hit hard and weigh before I could, share with you, because a lot of these movies are ones that we just tend to skim over, especially this next release. So with this next release, we got 4 Irish films directed by Jim Sheridan, and they are My Left Foot from 1989, The Field from 1990, In the Name of the Father from 1993, and The Boxer from 1997. Now, 3 out of these 4 had gotten previous Blu-ray releases. This is the Blu-ray premiere of The Field. And you will also notice that 3 of these 4 films have Daniel Day-Lewis as the main actor and collaborator with Jim Sheridan. The coolest thing for these for me is that thematically, when we are able to dive into something as deep and resonating with an individual like these 4 films for Jim Sheridan, they mean so much more when like fully digested all together. And to see Daniel Day-Lewis, who at the moment is currently retired from filmmaking, it is amazing to see his impact in some of these smaller films, especially when over the last 20 years we got used to seeing him in much more impactful films such as There Will Be Blood. He is an incredible actor through and through, and the performances that he gives in these 3 films are absolutely remarkable. For those that don't know the story of these 4 films, the first one, My Left Foot, we have the story of Christy Brown, who is born with cerebral palsy and can only do very limited physical movements and like some random sounds coming out of their mouth, but it is a heart-wrenching story that introduced most people to Daniel Day-Lewis as the first film that they saw from him. The next film in the box set is The Field, like I said previously, and this is the one that does not star Daniel Day-Lewis. Instead, it stars Richard Harris and is about a very small town and the auction of an actual field that they are seeing play out between one individual and a rich American coming in trying to purchase it out from under this uh, family that wants to own it. As you would expect, lots of things go wrong. It doesn't turn out great, but it is a very captivating film. So, In the Name of the Father is the third film in this box set, and it stars Daniel Day-Lewis again, but also Emma Thompson in a remarkable role for her. This is a film set in the 1970s in London about a thief that is essentially forced to admit that he committed a terrorist bombing that he actually did not commit. And he and his father are both sentenced to life in prison. And at that point, they have to do something to prove that his father did not commit this heinous act so that they could free him. This is a ridiculously good film that has gotten some releases previously. This one looks great. It really holds its own on this box set as possibly the best film. For me, I think it's probably my favorite. My Left Foot is a lot of people's favorites, but this is one that I highly recommend that you watch if you have not before. You can tell that this one meant a lot to Jim Sheridan. And finally, 1997's The Boxer pits Daniel Day-Lewis as somebody who has been serving time for his work in the IRA. This film shows Daniel Day-Lewis going to a boxing club that is open to both Catholics and Protestants, and unfortunately, that was really looked down upon, especially for his IRA buddies. And this movie really goes there. It's an impactful film, one that many people have seen, especially if they had the Shout Select release that was done previously. To my eyes, the scan looks exactly the same. It's not one that is a huge upgrade or anything like that. All four of these films have audio commentaries. All four of them have interview featurettes with the director, Jim Sheridan. There are some making ofs, very short documentaries. Overall, the box set that you are buying here, you're probably purchasing for the four films themselves. And I think that it is one that most people should have. These are four films that really dive into the Irish culture and the things that are important there, and really shine a light on situations that most other films do not. These are ones that are special, and not only because Daniel Day-Lewis gives incredible performances, but because Jim Sheridan is just a maestro behind the camera during these films, especially. I do think that these are four of his absolute best films, and it's especially nice to finally see the field on a Blu-ray release here. If you are interested in these three releases, Imprint themselves are sold out of this Jim Sheridan box set. The other two releases of Ken Russell's Horror and Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead, both are still available from Imprint, but you may still be able to find all three of these at retailers near you. If you're in Australia, that's JB Hifi. If you're in the US, you can probably get these at Orbit, Grindhouse Video, and possibly Diabolik DVD. I know that in other countries, these can be very difficult to get and very expensive. If you are in the US, I would highly suggest pre-ordering Imprint titles that you are interested in from Grindhouse Video. They seem to have the best prices available on them yet. And Orbit does get quite a few in, but they seem to go quickly. Orbit's gotten very popular. However, they don't do pre-orders, so Diabolik DVD and Grindhouse Video still have the edge there. Overall, this was a very strong month for me. I hope that you check out Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead, especially to get that new range of crime film from the 1990s. I hope that you check out Ken Russell's Horror, because the extras on that disc are incredible. But possibly most of all this month, I hope you check out the Jim Sheridan box set. It is a deep dive into Ireland that we are not getting anywhere else, and one that I am very glad to have taken. To Imprint Films, I am appreciative of the fact that we even have access to these films. I am very grateful that they were able to send those to me for review. In the future, if there are any Imprint titles that you would like me to do a review on, please let me know. I'm going to be doing as much of a deep dive into their releases as I can for you. I hope that you enjoyed this, and if you did, please give it a like and share around. Imprint Films is one of the best up-and-coming labels, in my opinion. They've only been around for a short period of time, but the fact that they've released almost 200 films so far is incredibly prolific of them, and I can't wait to see what is coming next. Until next time, from one collector to all of you, have a good night.